Hi, welcome. Welcome. So happy to have you here in this workshop and this first bonus session that's going to be all about mindset. And just waiting for confirmation that we are streaming everywhere. It looks like it's working. So welcome. This is a one-day workshop and we have 2 bonus sessions and 3 main sessions. And this is the first bonus session. It's going to be all about mindset around speaking and selling and how to go through the different kind of stages that we need to go through in order to become a bold speaker. And then we have the first session that is going to be about setting up the framework for a webinar. And then we move into session number 4, that is how to create the presentation, what to do before, during, and after our webinar in order to have kind of sales maximizers to make it as high conversion rate as we possibly can. And then we move into session number 3, that is going to be all about how to actually fill the seats of our webinar. Because if we have no audience, we have no one to sell to, right? So we need to do lead generation and to fill the seats of our webinar. That is session number 3. And then we have a last bonus session that is about the next step. And the next step is to set up your webinar as an evergreen webinar, to be able to run it without you being there and being present. So welcome. So happy to have you here, and make sure that you have pen and paper, because this is going to be a massive amount of value. So you need to have pen and paper in order to catch or everything. And in the next session, you're going to get a workbook as well for the 3 main sessions that you can follow along in and take notes. But this session is all about mindset, and I'm going to kind of break it through the different kind of stages that we go through in order to become this bold speaker. So you do want to take notes, because there's going to be a massive amount of value. And that is my promise to you. So let me know where you're watching from, and also let me know if you're watching this live or if you're catching the replay of this. So welcome. And for you who don't know me, by the way, my name is Angela. I'm a virtual event sales expert, and I didn't actually started out do what I do today. So I started out in another niche. I started out in the fitness and health niche. I was a truck driver for 15 years, and I had this dream of lay on the beach, drink pina colada, have money in the bank on an evergreen online business of some kind. And my passion was fitness. And I took my license as a personal trainer and nutrition consultant, and that is what I launched online. Okay. And I saw all these fancy influencers, these fitness influencers, whatever, online, that have their own online businesses. And that is what I really was aiming for. So when I started out online, I really started in totally the wrong end by actually, I'm just going to be honest with you. I was kind of sold a dream, an idea, and a wish of these evergreen sales by people that didn't do evergreen sales to close those sales, right? Because whatever strategy that I'm going to share with you that I started out with, I was sold in a 5-day challenge, right? So that was their basic strategy. But anyways, I built myself an app. That is how I started online. I built an app. I had no validated offer. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no audience. I had nothing. And I started by building an app. And I had funnels, sales funnels. I had quizzes. I had Zapier. I have everything, all the tech that you can possibly get your hands on. And I run ads. So I did all that without having any kind of validated offer. I didn't know anything. And it actually costed me almost more money than I was making. And then I participated in a 5-day challenge. And I can't remember today what that 5-day challenge was all about. And I wish I did, but I can't really remember. But I thought to myself, wow, can it really be this easy? Can I just kind of invite people, speak a little bit, and everyone will buy my offers? So I launched my own challenge. And of course it didn't work, because I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't understand what copywriting was. And this is years ago. And I I actually didn't know anything. So I didn't even know there was a word called copywriting. Okay. And so what I did was that I told myself early that I will never ever spend massive amount of time. I rather invest and learn, kind of shortcut my learning curve. So I invested in a program that helped me build out this 5-day challenge. And that is the moment when I kind of understood why my own challenge didn't work, because there is an entire strategy behind running a 5-day challenge. It's not just only information thrown together like I thought, right? Now I know that, because now we have run so many events and we teach how to do it, but I didn't know it back then. But what I noticed was that a lot of people kind of, or my audience, I was targeting women over 45, pre-menopause, during menopause, 45, 50, 55. And a lot of them couldn't join a 5-day challenge, right? So I started to look at shorter event webinars or masterclasses, whatever you want to call them. And I hired myself a webinar coach that taught me how to do webinars, okay? So I actually built my entire fitness business. I removed all the tech, removed the app, everything. I removed everything. And the only thing that I did was one challenge and one webinar every single month. That is how I built my business, fitness business, to 6 figures. I didn't do any kind of sales in between. And the reason was not that I couldn't do it. The reason was that I didn't know how to do it. Okay? I didn't know how to do it. So the only thing I did was one signature webinar, same webinar over and over again, one signature workshop over and over again. And then some years ago, about 3.5 years ago, I started to pivot it into what I do today. And that is helping others that were exactly like me. Stuck in not being visible, no validated offer, not knowing how to scale, not knowing how to sell, feeling uncomfortable, no confidence online, feeling like the worst best kept secret, and caught up in very tactical things, and move into simplicity to kind of remove all these complicated things, and using events, webinars, challenges, workshops, live launches to sell in the capacity 1-to-many, okay? In order to either launch a new offer, sell a new offer, or scale the businesses, okay? But not only that, because we are also using speaking and our event to stand out on the market, build our personal brand, position ourselves as experts, owning a part of the market, okay? And everything else that comes along with just using your voice, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit more about it during this week, and especially today, more about the mindset behind, because a lot of you might not even have done a live video, right? So it can feel kind of scary to do a webinar that someone might also want to run a 3-day workshop or a 5-day challenge, and we haven't ever done anything live in front of a lot of people before. And it feels kind of weird, it feels kind of scary, we feels like imposter syndrome comes up, a lot of strange feelings comes up, right? And what I usually suggest for my audience and for my clients when they start out is to start with a webinar masterclass. And we built out 45-minute formats. So we built out webinars that are 45 minutes. And you can easily keep up the engagement and the energy for 45 minutes, right? But if you can't keep up the energy 45 minutes, you're not going to be able to keep up the energy for a 5-day challenge or an 8-day launch, right? Because it's an entirely different energy that needs to be in place for people to show up day after day for your event, right? So most of my clients start by building out a webinar or a masterclass, a signature masterclass, signature webinar that we run over and over again, okay? And build mastery around that. So that is kind of my journey short. And just, I wanted to share with you really quickly, because I feel that it's important to understand where what I'm teaching is actually coming from. It's coming from my own story, my own struggles my own way of finding something that I believe so strongly is superior to a lot of things that is out there, that is going to help in so many different ways and actually replace a lot of things that we are doing in our business today. Okay. So that is short about me, and this is not about me. So that is, I'm going to share more because I have done a lot of things throughout the years that I'm going to share with you with totally honesty, because I am like you, right? I'm like you, and I feel perfectly fine sharing all the things that I have done that might not have been the best choice. Okay. So pen and paper out, and we're going to dig right into a mindset. Okay. And I kind of say that mindset is the foundation of everything, right? If we don't have the right mindset set up before we start something, we are going to struggle. And I don't say that mindset is the only thing that you need to make it online, because we all know it's not. You need strategy, implementation, taking action, all those kind of things, right? But if we are not in the state of mind to reach the goals that we want, we are not going to be able to reach them, right? And this is something that I talk specifically about when it comes to lead generation and sales, because there's a huge mindset shift that needs to be done when it comes to lead generation and also when it comes to sales. And your mindset needs to be aligned with the millions of dollars that you want to make. Does that make sense? That your mindset needs to be aligned with the millions of dollars that you want to make. Let me know if that makes sense. That makes sense. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. So today we are going to talk about, or in this session, we are going to talk more about the mindset of becoming a bold speaker, to actually use our voice, and not only to attract an audience, but also sell to the right audience and get the right kind of clients, because that is what it's all about. We don't want any kind of clients. We want the right people to joining our program, because they are the ones that is going to get the result that we want for our offers, right? And this has to do with kind of playing on a different kind of level. Okay. So what we can see kind of online, and I think you can agree with this, if we look online, there is a chase of this instant gratification all the time. I have no message, I have no offer, I have no nothing, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I want to make 10,000 tomorrow, and I'm going to go right after the shiny object that promised me that, right? And when there is kind of this overabundance of opportunities online, it's really easy to start chasing all this shiny object with this huge promises. And what happens is that all of a sudden our energy gets diluted everywhere, right? And we call it the shiny object syndrome. We have all heard about that. So we chase this over here, and then it doesn't really work because we don't stick around long enough to make it work. So we got over here and we try this one and this one and this one. We chase. And it's almost like it's spiraling our whole business out of control, because our energy gets so diluted and we get so unfocused. And what happens is that we keep on chasing, and it's just spiraling. And all of a sudden you are exhausted and you are going to walk right into a wall. That is what's going to happen. That level is the level down here. It's the noisy, more saturated, copy and paste commodity level, right? Where everyone is playing around, right? Because what have happened is that anyone can go online. Anyone with a phone can go online, put up a bio, claim to be an expert, and sell and do exactly what you do. We have even copy and paste strategies taught out there, right? And I actually saw that a copy and paste strategy using ChatGPT to copy other people's posts, rewrite them and post them as their own. This is what have happened. And we could see it in 2020 when everybody needed to go online it becomes so noisy. And it was really hard to break through that noise, right? And we feel like the world's best kept secret. We don't know how to create visibility, whatever, okay? And so we start chasing all this kind of download my 365 viral posts, whatever, and we start doing what everybody else is doing because we look at what everybody else is doing and copy it. And at the same time, we say, I can't stand out. Well, how can you stand out by doing what everybody else is doing? It makes no sense. And I usually say to my clients, if it feels like it makes no sense, it makes no sense, right? Instead, if we start playing on the level of impact, on the level of personal branding, on the level of legacy, all of a sudden we are going to start elevate from that noise, right? And we will start attracting a different kind of people because we are now on another level, and we are start attracting people that are on the same level as we are, right? And we move away from the noise and we become that kind of unique brand, that expert, that go-to person, that person that stands out. And we create that kind of top of mind awareness for our audience. And that person up here that play on that level, that person don't chase shiny object syndrome, trends or fads. That person don't run after fake promises. That person don't look for the instant gratification. That person built their business on a level of impact and long term, right? Because success, and this is important, success doesn't happen overnight. It might look like an overnight success, but it's years of commitment, years of consistency, years of showing up frequently, years of trial and errors, failure, everything. It didn't happen overnight, even if it looks like an overnight success. But we are sold a dream, a wish, an idea of that overnight success. And I was, but of course it didn't work out, right? So you want to think about when it comes to your mindset in everything that you are doing, and especially that what we're going to do in this workshop, speaking, that you need to play the long game, okay? Always play for the long game, and the play on the level of impact, the level of personal branding, the level of legacy that you want to build, and move away from this kind of level down here, the kind of copy and paste commodity level, the noisy level of the market, okay? So that is the first thing that I want you to take with you to put you in a state of mind. And it's kind of, we sometimes call it act like a future self, right? If your future self is a successful 7-figure business owner, right? How would that person act? Would that person chase shiny objects or trends? No. Would that person say, I don't want to show up today? No. That person don't play on that level, right? And neither should you when you start out. And I learned this the hard way. And it costed me a lot of money and a lot of time, of course. And the reason for it is that it's so easy to fall into that trap because we are sold very bright, tactical things out there that doesn't work in the beginning. And everything has its place and stage in a business journey, right? And that is kind of a mindset shift. Whatever that we decide to do, we need to stick to it and we need to play the long game. And this is huge, and it's of huge importance when it comes to running events. You need to commit to the process and you need to trust the process, right? For webinars, for an example, you need to stay consistent and you need to commit to build mastery around it. It's not until we have that mastery that we really see the effect of what we are doing. That is number one. So you can't give up before that. And this entire workshop that we are going to run is all about kind of building mastery around the art of speaking and selling from what you can call a virtual stage. And I usually say to people, stop waiting Stop sit there and waiting for things to happen, right? Go out, create your own stage and start speaking. That is what it's all about. You are going to create your own virtual stage where you are going to sell your offer, where you are going to get your voice out there, where you are going to create a bigger impact and break through the noise that is online, right? And when we look at the market, what have happened is also you have a huge gap like this. We can see entrepreneurs spending 20, 30 hours per week on things that moves them away from speaking to people. Because people are annoying. I don't want to speak to people. I don't want to do calls. I just want people to click and buy my offers. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that, right? And we see a lot of really tactical, complicated systems, right? That works fine. They all work. Somewhere along your business journey, they all work, right? But at the same time, we are sold all these kind of tactical things that moves us away from speaking to people. At the same time, you have an audience over here that are sick and tired and that are craving for human connection, that wants to speak to someone. And they are just sitting there waiting for you to speak to them, right? And they have things in their mind like who to trust. Everyone sounds the same. They look the same. There is no different, no kind of connection here. I don't know, who am I going to follow? What am I going to do here, right? So you have this has created a gap in the industry, the service-based industry. Over here, we have service-based business owners that try their hardest to move away from speaking to people. And over here, we have people sitting around waiting for you to speak to them, right? And as soon as you have a gap in the market, whatever that gap is, and you can close it, you're going to make money. If you can find a gap and close it, you are going to make money, right? And you can go out and close it by speaking and create this human-to-human interaction with the audience and replace a lot of things that you can put on hold. You can wait, do them later further along the way, put them on hold, replace them with human interaction. It costs you absolutely nothing, zero, right? But it's going to catalyze your business, going to sprint your business. We can see an increased conversion rate when we moved away from Zoom webinar. That is a webinar part of Zoom where you have a speaker and you have no cameras. No one can see how many people or whatever, right? It's worked like a webinar. We moved away from running our webinars from Zoom webinars into Zoom meetings where people can put their cameras on. Immediately that increased the conversion rate because people like this. They like to see each other. They like to see the person. And I like it. I don't put myself on the pedestal all of a sudden. I'm down here with everybody else and I can see that I'm in an Airbnb, right? So I can see this wall and I could comment on that wall. I can build kind of another different kind of connection with the audience, right? And that have helped us. Oh, sorry, that have helped us create, increase our conversion rate. But it's also a gap in the market. So this workshop is going to be for anyone that wants to use the voice to build mastery around speaking and selling. That costs you absolutely nothing, and use your voice to build your personal brand online, to break through the noise, own a part of the market, okay? So one main thing that I also want to mention before we kind of go into the stages of a speaking journey is what speaking also will bring to you, right? Because what is the reason why people want to speak on TEDx stages? Authority, yeah, trust, right? Because it gives people authority if they have been able to speak on a TEDx stage. They can take that logo, put up on their bio, whatever, right? It builds authority and trust. And online entrepreneurs struggles every day to build authority and build this omnipresent, build personal brand and stand out because it's so noisy. And I would say that speaking is the easiest, simplest, and cheapest way of achieving that like, know, and trust, and that authority, right? Because as soon as someone enters a stage on a conference or something and they start speaking, immediately we see that person as the expert of that topic, even if they are not. Even if they are not. It has nothing to do with how many followers you have. It has nothing to do with how many years of experience you have. It has nothing to do if you are the best of the best. It's in the eye of the beholder. Okay? It's not how you see yourself, like you feel, oh yeah, but I have only worked with this for 5 years. Who cares? It's in the eye of the beholder, how other people see you. And as soon as you go up and speak on a stage, on a TEDx stage, for an example, immediately people see you as an expert, even if you are not the expert. There might be 50 other experts in the same industry that have worked 10 more years than you have. Does not matter. It immediately brings you up a level, and people see you on a different level because you're going to position yourself on a different level. So speaking in itself is not only to convert the audience, even if we build speaking converting events, it's going to bring so much more with it. Rings on the water, the long-term game. And that is how we need to think, and we need to act long-term. What can kind of start today? What can give me 3 years from now, right? That is how we play on a level of impact and a level of long-term, a level of legacy, instead of chasing instant gratification, shiny object, right? We need to think long-term, especially when it comes to speaking, because it will take some time to get really comfortable and speak to thousands of people at the same time live, right? And I wish I had my first recording. And as you can hear, English isn't my first language. And I pivot my fitness business from Swedish to English. I did that with a 5-day challenge. And I so wish I would have had that challenge to look back at today, but I don't, unfortunately. Would I have thought it was crap? Yeah, of course, right? But I need to remember that if I wouldn't have started with this imperfect action, I wouldn't be where I am today. Right? So it takes some time, and your first webinar, it's not going to be perfect. Your 10th events, it's not going to be perfect. We have run over 350 live converting events, and we are still looking for a way of improving them to make them more and more perfect. Try different things, invest, watch others and try what others are doing and see how does it affect our events, right? It will never be perfect, but if you do not start, nothing will happen at all. If you do not decide that you are going to play on this level and stay down here, you're going to stay down there and you're going to attract the same kind of people. This is your choice. Your choice, right? So I want you to have that kind of mindset. Now we're going to talk about the kind of stages that we need to go through to becoming a bold speaker. Okay, are you with me so far? Yes, I needed to hear that. Thank you so much. Exactly. Personal brand building has never been more important, guys. If you are aiming for something, aim to build your personal brand. And speaking is the absolute easiest way of doing it. Show up speaking like this. Just speak, okay? So, pen and paper out, because now we're gonna write the levels where we kind of go through in our journey as a bold speaker. And you can see what level am I on? Where do I feel like I need to improve, okay? The first stage we all of us enter when we do something new is, of course, the stage of fear, right? When we start out, and what happens when we do something that pushes us out of the comfort zone, we feel a little bit scared, right? It's a little bit uncomfortable. And what happens when we feel scared is that we kind of project that right into the audience in itself. So the audience in itself feels uncertain. So write that down. Fear equals an uncertain audience. If the presenter of the webinar feels really kind of insecure in their own beliefs, they feels like they don't even believe in their own solution, the audience in itself are going to feel uncertain. And this is the first stage when we do something new that is new for us. And it's totally fine. We're all gonna go through it, okay? And this might be your first time ever do a webinar or live streaming. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable, right? And it's totally fine. And that is what happens when we push ourselves out of the comfort zone. So that is the first stage. But then when we run some events, we start getting out of this awkward fear state of mind. And then we start speaking from our hearts, which is beautiful, but we do it with any kind of structure. So what happens is that the audience in itself get lost. They just don't get it, and they feel really, really confused. So when we step out of fear, we kind of start go with the flow a little bit, and we start speaking everywhere and with no kind of track on what we are speaking, and we are just speaking, and we are just going on and on and on, just speaking from our hearts, and the audience gets really confused and they don't get it. Okay, they just don't get it. And that was my first workshop, and I didn't understand this, right? So I spoke from my own knowledge during 5 days, and the audience was so confused because there was no structure at all, because I didn't know how to structure the content. Okay, but this is usually where we start. We start really scared, and then we move into go with the flow. Okay, we have a confused audience, so we need structure. And this is usually where clients come to us. So they might have run webinars, a workshop, and it doesn't really feel like it's working out because they're missing the structure. That is the most important part. Okay, and we need structure. So we need to structure out the presentation in itself and start speaking from our heart, but in a really structured way. And when we kind of have a structured way of speaking, we speak with clarity. And the audience go from feeling, I don't get it, to I get it. I am clear now. I do understand, because it's really structured out. So I go from here to here. So we start speaking with passion and from our hearts, but in a really structured way. So the audience go from uncertain to certain. The audience go from not get it to get it, right? They go from confused to clear. So that is the next step. And that is the turning point. So that is usually when we see an increase of a conversion rate and engagement and show up rate, right? So we have now break through the fears. We speak from our hearts that resonates with the audience in a really structured way. The audience understands, it's really clear, and you start building authority. And then we can move into engagement, which is the next step. Because now we have the structure clear. So we can kind of speak, it's really structured out. And the number one reason why people leave webinars and workshop is lack of passion and engagement from the speaker, right? Number one reason. And when I ran my first webinar, I totally lost engagement because I was still focused on the tech, right? And I was focused that it needed to be so perfect, whatever, that I totally forgot the audience because I was still focusing on me. And that is where we all start, so it's totally fine. But when we have breakthrough fears and we have now a strategy, a system in place, so we speak in a really kind of way to be really super clear, we can now move into engagement with the audience. And all engagement starts from you, right? All engagement starts from you. So when you start engaging with the audience engage back. And what happens with you when the audience engage with you? Your confidence grows. So your confidence grows as a speaker more and more and more, the more people engage with you, the more powerful you become, the more passionate you become, the more people are going to stay on the webinar because you now speak from the heart in a really structured way, but you're also engaging with the audience. Start building these connections, right? And the more confidence you have, the more authority and trust you are going to bring with you, right? And when you start growing your confidence and your engagement, you can now really focusing on building strong connections with the audience. But that is not going to happen if you have no strategy, no engagement, or we work from a place of fear. But now we have the content. You know what you speak. You speak from a heart in a really structured and clear way. You are engaging with the audience, right? That is when you see really effect of what you are doing. Unfortunately, most people give up on webinars before they hit that stage. And they say webinars doesn't work because they don't stay long enough to build mastery, right? You can never build mastery around something if you are not committed to running the reps, right? It's not going to be perfect the first time. There is no kind of magic webinar thing or presentation thing or whatever that you are going to go from 0 to 25 conversion rate in 45 minutes, never done anything before, right? It's not a quick fix. It's a journey. For some people, it takes longer. For some people, it takes shorter, depending on how many events we run, depending on what kind of person we are, right? But you can't give up. Because as soon as you give up, yeah, it's over, right? You need to start something else. So I want you, if you're going to participate in this workshop, to write down on a piece of paper that you are going to commit to that journey of becoming a powerful speaker, because it takes some time depending on where in these stages you are, okay? So that is what I want you to do, to commit to it. Otherwise, you are going to say, yeah, this wasn't an overnight success for me after 2 webinars, and you say, webinars doesn't work for me. Then you go over here, you do something else, you start over. And what happens when we start over? What happens when we start over? Exactly. We go backwards. This is what's going to happen. Every time you start over, you go backwards before you go forwards. Which means if you always start over, before you kind of cross the line where you are at the moment, you will always go backwards. And your business will never grow. You're going to stop growing. You're going to even go backwards, right? So whatever you pick, you need to commit to it, stick to it, run the reps, and build mastery. Does not matter what it is. Then, depending on how many webinars or how often you run them or speaking event or whatever, it can take longer and shorter, but you need to run the reps. End of story. Okay? So write that on a piece of paper. Commit to running the reps. That is what's going to be key for success with events. Okay? That is why we run signature events. Because you are never starting over with a new topic every time. You are going to build that mastery faster and quicker, right? And there is also 4 mindset parts of making a decision or having to make a decision about commitment of running the reps, okay? That I want to talk with you, with you about, okay? Because when we think about teaching, we usually think about education, teaching, right? And I want to kind of shift that, and you need to bear with me because the 2 first things, they go hand in hand. It's like this, okay? The first thing I want you to write down is speaking is selling, right? Because authentic speaking is when you kind of understand your audience really well and deep, and you can kind of communicate with that audience in a way that is going to empower them to make a decision to join your program. That is how we can sell without feeling salesy, right? Because you need to care so much on solving this problem for your audience that you are not getting in the way of yourself here, right? And authentic selling is when we can really connect with the audience and speak to their urgent need in their language, on their level, and move them into a decision. You are moving your audience into a decision, into your offer. You are going to move them from uncertain to certain, right? They are going to enter with a lot of mindset block, fears, frustrations, objections, and you are going to move them from that state of mind into this state of mind and into your offer. It's a journey. For the audience, that is a journey. So when you do a webinar and you speak or in any kind of event, you're actually selling from the minute you start the webinar, because that is when your audience starts their journey, right? Because your job is not only teaching, pitch. Your job is to make them, to take them on that journey throughout the webinar, transform the mindset, remove the mindset block, remove any kind of objection, take them from uncertain to certain. All these limiting beliefs that they are entering with, remove them during the webinar. So when you speak and you think about speaking, I want you to think about that as soon as your audience enter your webinar, that is when their journey begins. Not when you pivot into the pitch. Because when you do webinars that way, you're going to feel like an awkward part here that feels really uncomfortable, almost like a friction, right? And people are going to leave. That's going to happen because you are going to feel awkward. It's nothing to do with that your offer isn't great or something. It's just that it's strange. So I want you to think about as soon as they enter, that is when we actually start selling. That is why this goes hands in hand with number 2. Selling is serving. Because when I talk about that you sell from minute number 1, all these feelings comes up. I don't want to feel salesy. I don't want to feel spammy. I don't want to do this. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to sell all the time. But you need to understand that selling is serving. If you don't sell to your audience, then you are going to leave your audience with the same problem, the same frustration, the same fears, and the same limiting belief, whatever the same. That is what's going to happen. You're going to leave them there. You're going to leave them there feeling, oh, what am I going to do now? And your job as a service provider is to give people access to solutions. And you have the solution to their problems. It's your job to hand out that solution to people, right? You can't let people hanging. It's not fair. And when you do that, you are kind of standing in your own way, right? Because you need to care so deeply about giving people access to this solution, solving this problem, give people this result that you are not getting in your own way. Because then you make it all about you. And it's not about you. And as a service provider, your job is to serve your people. And selling is serving. And by not selling to them, you are not helping them. Okay? Because they're going to stay exactly where they are. And that is a huge mindset shift that needs to be done when it comes to selling, because we are going to talk more about this when it comes to the sales session. That is step number 2. And because we need to go away from that state of mind thinking, I don't want to sell, I don't want to feel salesy, I feel this, I feel that, I don't want to nag people, I don't want to talk about my business, because you are going, that is making it all about you and your feelings, how you feel. It's not about you, it's about them. So you need to kind of shift the mindset from selling is selling into selling is serving. So number 1, speaking is selling, because you are going to sell from the moment you start your event, because that is when your audience journey starts. Okay. Number 2, selling is serving. You need to sell to the audience. You need to help them, give them access to that solution. Okay. Number 3, your goal, your purpose, whatever, needs to be bigger than your fear. You just need to get over it. Okay. And we are all scared because as soon as we want to go out and do something that is outside of our comfort zone that feels a little bit insecure, the brain wants to keep you safe, right? It's going to tell you, no, 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 don't do that. That is why that is how the brain keeps us safe, for not putting our hands in the fire or do something stupid like that, right? But it also comes down to when we step out of our comfort zone and we want to run a webinar, start speaking and selling, right? Because the brain all of a sudden say, no, 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 don't do that. We are outside of our comfort zone. But whatever you want, the importance, the impact you want to create, the legacy you want to create, the purpose that you want to live by, needs to be bigger than that fear. Okay? And I usually say to my clients, you just need to go out and start. Go out and start. Do something that just kick you out of the comfort zone. Start small and go from there. But you need to start. Take imperfect action, because otherwise nothing is going to happen. Money do not fall from the sky. Even if people want you to believe that it does, it doesn't, okay? You need to be willing to do the work. Your willingness to create that bigger impact, that future, becoming that bold speaker, create that legacy, that become that expert, that authority, go-to person. That willingness to create that needs to be bigger than the fear of actually doing what it needs to be done to go there, okay? And it comes down to everything. Yes, of course, it comes down to everything. But if we look at specifically at speaking, right? That needs to be more important than the fear you feel about stand up and speak. That is number 3. Number 4, and this is something that I work a lot with my clients because it's kind of huge when it comes to shifting the way we show up, is to act as your future self. So that is number 4. We talked a little bit about it, right? So let's say that you want to become this successful 7-figure business owner. That is our goal, okay? So what would that person say? Would that person say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to show up today. I don't want to run the reps of this. With that person complaining, whining why things doesn't work, chasing shiny object, chasing trends, never take any kind of responsibility, always looking for shortcuts, not willing to learn, not willing to invest, not willing to implement. Would that person act that way? Exactly. No. That person wouldn't do that because that person don't play on that level. Okay? That person you are in the future wouldn't make up excuses. That person don't play from excuses or fear or that kind of things. That person acts, show up really, really differently. And you need to be that person. Act as that person. Think as that person. And all of a sudden, the more you do that, the more you're going to become that person. And the more you become that person, the more you're going to start playing on this level instead of down here chasing, right? And you're going to start looking long term. Stop chasing this quick fixes, whatever, right? And you're going to start play on another level. And you are going to see that it's also going to help you attract a different kind of people as well. That is what happens. We attract what we are. If you show up inconsistent, you will attract people that are inconsistent. If you are a person that never takes action, you will attract people that never take action as well. If you show up with everything you got, take action, be that future self, show up, do the work, you will attract those kind of people as well. You're not going to play on their level. They're going to come up and play on your level. So speaking is selling. Selling is serving. Your purpose, your goal needs to be bigger than your fear. You need to start acting like your future self. Okay? And these are kind of core mindset principles in order to reach goals. So are you with me so far on those 4? Yes, yes, yes. I needed a reminder. Exactly. Perfect. So you feel kind of, yeah, I'm committed. I'm going to do this, because it all comes down to your commitment and your willingness. No one can do this for you, right? No one can do this for you. And if you don't want to kind of start over all the time, you need to be willing to commit, okay? And when I started out, so I'm going to share this really quickly. When I started out, and I think this might be a good, I don't want to call it a homework because it's a bonus session, but you can kind of look at what do you need to work with. And when I started out, there were some things that I needed to write down and commit to. And one was, of course, that my goal was bigger than my fears. That was number 1. I started acting as my future self. And because I was really inconsistent, I didn't show up, I did all these excuses, whatever. And I worked in health and wellness, and I worked with women over 45 wanted to lose weight. What happened was that I attracted people that were inconsistent, didn't want to do the work, all those kind of things that I was, okay? So when I shifted and changed the way I showed up, I also attracted another kind of person, okay? So that was number 2. Number 3, I committed to never ever stand in my own way again. To commit to the process, show up, and do the work, and never ever let it be about me again, because I was so guilty of that, okay? The 4 things that I decided that I'm going to end this session with is that I said to myself, I'm always going to lead with value. The way I run my business before, I was really focused on the conversion. I would make a sale at any cost in my fitness business. But when I kind of started to look at events, and I started hire myself the first business coach and those kind of thing, and I went away from that kind of thinking into another level, another long-term way of thinking. I also participated in a lot of other events that were pitch fest, brag fest, boring. It was kind of all this. So I'm going to teach you 4 things. I got 2. If I wanted the other 2, yeah, I needed to buy the program. All this kind of sleazy, strange ways, and you've left feeling I learned nothing, or you're left feeling really awkward as an audience, like, oh, this wasn't right? This wasn't it. And I said to myself, I don't want to run events that way. So you're going to see when you join us the next 3 sessions, you're going to see we build webinars very differently compared to a lot of people, okay? Because we built them value-based. People are going to leave feeling this was the best thing that I have ever participated in. They're going to leave with a win, even if they don't buy your program. This is how you move away from this thinking down here, the instant gratification, into thinking long-term. What will this do for me, my brand, and my business if my people leave with a win? What can it give me long-term, right? And how can I lead with value? Because that is how you build your personal brand. That is how you stand out from the rest, right? And I said to myself, I will always lead with value. That is why when people join our workshop, they're amazed of the value that they get. Even if it's just a 45 minutes, the value that they actually get for free. And they leave feeling, wow, and they will never forget. And as soon as they come across someone that have the problem that we solve, or want to do the thing that we help people do, they think about us. That is why we have massive amount of people coming in by referrals, by people that have never become clients, right? And I think that is one of the key things to our success when it comes to running events, because we built them leading with value. Even if it's a converting event, we lead with value. The more value you put on the market, the more money you're going to make, okay? So I want you to kind of commit to the upcoming sessions, having an open mind, because we're going to talk more about mindset when it comes to lead generation and sales. You're going to get an invitation to join our academy, okay? So I want you to commit to the upcoming sessions to actually push fear away and do the work, because you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't do anything with it, nothing will happen. It's not going to take you anywhere. Okay? So you can't just consume information. You need to take action on it. And this is not informational based. You're actually going to have things that you can work on every session. Okay? You need to commit to that. And my promise to you is to show up with everything that I got, give you the main pieces of the puzzle that needs to be in place in order to have a high converting webinars, and give you not only information, but also how to do it, to execute on the information that we provide. Because if I don't give you that, I give you only information, you don't know how to take that information and do anything with it, right? So we need to have action steps. So that is my promise to you. I can't give away everything because it's not possible. We will be here for 6 months, because an amazing webinar can't sell a crappy offer. We're not going to talk about offers, right? A good offer and a good webinar can't be sold to the wrong audience. We need to build an audience. We need to do marketing and brand building, right? Personal brand building. And we can't go into all that. So I'm going to show you all the pieces you need, and why I pulled out webinars as a piece to teach you, why I think it's one of the key components to our client success, okay, in the upcoming 6 sessions. So I hope this was some kind of helpful when it comes to shifting your mind and kind of go from, yeah, I'm going to watch the trainings, into, yeah, I'm going to watch the training and I'm going to do the work that is required. Because I am not a quitter. I am going to stay committed, okay? But because that is how you get the most value out of it. So make sure you join us for the next session. The next session is the step number 1. That is going to be the framework of the webinar. We're going to talk about what topic do I pick, how do I write my title, whatever, and you're going to get a workbook. So thank you everyone for this session. I try to make sure that all sessions are under an hour, because I value your time. That is why I'm not going to answer so many questions. I'm going to keep on going in the content, and you're welcome to join our Facebook group and ask questions in the comment section, because I value your time. So I really hope that you appreciate that I will keep going in the content so I can cover all the content for everyone. Because otherwise we're going to get stuck in questions all the time, and people that don't have any questions, they need to sit there and wait, right? So we kind of want to keep on going so everyone get the value out of it, and then we can kind of answer questions, okay? So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next session, okay? Bye-bye.